Most people think strong language makes them sound powerful, like they're confident, like they're in control, like they're not afraid to say what they think. But in reality, it often reveals the exact opposite. Because in high-stakes communications, the moment your language loses control, so do you. We've been conditioned to believe something that sounds true, but isn't. That using words, and I won't mention them here, they make you more authentic or relatable or strong. And in casual environments, that might even work. But most people don't realize they carry that same habit into moments where it quietly damages them. Job interviews, negotiations, leadership conversations, conflict. And in those moments, it doesn't read as confidence. It reads as lack of control. Here's a shift most people never make. Profanity is rarely about power. It's about compensation. When someone can't land a point cleanly, they don't refine the message. They intensify the delivery. They raise their voice. They add emotion. They insert profanity. Not because it's effective, but because it feels effective. Listen to the difference. Person one says, "This is effing ridiculous. The whole thing is a mess." Person two says, "This doesn't work, and here's exactly where it breaks." Same frustration, completely different impact. The first person vents, the second person leads. Let's go deeper because this is where it really matters. First of all, it signals emotional dependence. When your message relies on emotional amplification, it tells people you need intensity to be heard. And the moment people sense that, they stop taking the content seriously because now they're reacting to your emotion, not your argument. Secondly, it reduces perceived precision. High-level communicators choose words carefully. Every word has a function. But profanity? It's usually a filler. It replaces clarity with force. And when people hear force without clarity, they assume there's nothing underneath it. Next, it collapses your authority under pressure. Anyone can sound composed when things are easy. But the real signal people are watching for is this. What happens when pressure increases? If your language deteriorates under pressure, people make a silent decision. You're not as in control as you appear. Fourth thing it does, it lowers the level of the room. Every conversation has a level. Professional, strategic, emotional, and reactive. Your language determines where that conversation sits. And profanity often pulls it downward. Once that happens, you don't just lose authority, you lose influence. Now, this is where most conversations about this topic get it wrong, because the answer is not never use profanity. That's too simplistic. Used deliberately, in the right moment, with full control, it can actually increase impact. But there's a difference between using it and needing it. Strong communicators can use it and remove it without losing presence. Weak communicators rely on it to create presence. That's the distinction. At a deeper level, this isn't about language, it's about control. People use profanity when they feel unheard or they feel frustrated. They feel a loss of control in the interaction. So they try to force the moment. They try to push the conversation emotionally. But the paradox is, the more you try to force control, the more you signal that you don't have it. If you want to elevate your communication immediately, do this. When you feel the urge to intensify your language, pause and ask, what am I actually trying to say? Then say that clearly, directly, precisely. Instead of, this is effing ridiculous, say, This doesn't make sense, and here's why. Now you're not just expressing emotion, you're directing the conversation. But here's what most people miss. People don't respect how strongly you feel. They respect how clearly you think. In high-stakes environments, executives, negotiations, leadership rooms, the person who stays composed while others escalate wins. Not because they're louder, not because they're stable, because stability creates trust, and trust creates influence. Your language isn't just communication, it's identity. It tells people how you think, how you handle pressure, how much control you actually have. And most people never realize they're revealing more than they intend every time they speak. You don't need stronger words, you need better ones, because real authority doesn't come from intensity, it comes from control. And the people who understand that don't just sound different, they operate at a completely different level.